it or
right. Get a big play and get ourselves back in the game.
But that is definitely a tough deal. So Last Chance U, we talked about it a little bit. Independence, Kansas.
It's the hot topic right now, right?
Yeah, Independence, Kansas, which is down in southeastern Kansas, not really near us, but close enough that I've got a kid right now that has an offer from Independence here at East. He's got an offer from a bunch of JUCOs. Thoughts on that and the head coach there, Coach Brown?
Everybody has their own coaching style. I'm not going to knock a guy who's won the conference championship, but everybody just does things a little different. So not the way I would do it. It's effective. It gets the job done, obviously, but it's an interesting watch. I do enjoy it. I'm a little partial. I don't know what episode it is, but Coach Sims at Garden City actually was a coach on staff at Baker when I played. So me and him have a somewhat of a relationship. I remember him when I was a freshman at Baker. He was a wide receivers coach at Baker University. So I tweeted it out. I said I'll take Coach Sims over Coach Brown any day of the week. So
yeah,
I said I haven't watched it yet, but I heard it's great.
It's definitely an interesting watch. Coach Brown's style is definitely not for everybody. No. And one thing I did tweet out because the previous coach Buddy down at East Mississippi and then Coach Brown seems like they yell and cuss and scream at players a lot, and it's not my style. But they both do it, so I'm wondering, the question I tweeted out was, do all JUCO coaches just yell and scream and cuss at players? Because, I have no experience. I've never been to a JUCO. I didn't play at a JUCO. I've never coached at a JUCO.
When I was at Baker and I played, we would have kids that would come from the Jayhawk Conference, and everything I heard, and I'm just speaking on what I've heard, I've known some coaches that have coached there. It's not a fun place to be. You get a lot of kids that say, I'm going to go to JUCO, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to go to this school or that school, and it's a little bit of a punch in the face when you get there because there's a lot of kids there, there's a lot of talent there, and if you're not one of those elite guys, then it's not a fun experience. Now, like I said, I haven't been there. I didn't play junior college, but from what I've heard, people that I trust and that I've talked, it's not always the best environment. Now, I will say from the Buddy and JB comparison, I like Buddy because I think Buddy, it feels like with Coach Brown, it's more of a business. And with Buddy, I felt like he would get after you, but I felt like he actually liked you. And I felt like the kids appreciated and took to it a little bit more. But with this new season, I just feel like it's what can you do for me, and let's get this done and let me get you out of here, which is kind of the goal, but I don't know. It's just my perspective on it.
I felt like, in some of the episodes he's talking about, trying to get guys to graduate. And, obviously that's the goal at every level, but I'm kind of with you on that. I felt like with Buddy it wasn't as much lip service maybe as,
right.
Maybe, and I'm not saying, I don't know, JB, if you're listening to the show, man, tweet at us. Let us know. You can come on, defend yourself. But
yeah,
I just felt like he was maybe doing it for the cameras, saying some of that stuff because that seems secondary. Whereas, really the first 3 episodes to me, he was just berating people.
Yeah.
And then after that, he starts talking about some of the graduation and some of that stuff. And so I felt like it was secondary, and maybe that's the way it was produced. Maybe it had nothing to do with him.
Are they winners?
Yeah, they won the conference for the first time since 1987. The Jayhawk Conference, which is a pretty good JUCO conference. Changing that rule, I think, helped.
Yeah, it was huge.
Because obviously Kansas high school football, if you compare it to Texas, Alabama, Florida, is not
same.
The quality.
Same.
Same,
man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Kansas.
Even I think Missouri high school football is a little better. I think Missouri has better athletes. I've coached on both sides. And the last 2 years, there's kind of been a Missouri versus Kansas in season some games like week 3, I think, for us.
Yeah.
And I think Kansas was like 1-20 in that or something.
Really?
I think only one Kansas team beat, and I think that was.
Is that just like kind of local stuff around?
Yeah,
here?
It was Kansas City. It was Kansas, Missouri, KC.
What was the school that won?
I think it was. I want to say
Mission East.
No, I want to say it was Shawnee Mission Northwest beat Grandview.
Yeah, that's
last year was the one because we played Rockhurst both years of it. I mean, close games, competitive games.
Yeah.
But we lost.
That's two really good. Rockhurst really good.
Rockhurst really good quality program. I mean, so I guess you could say the proof's there. Missouri All-Star, the Missouri-Kansas All-Star game here. Missouri had won like 6 in a row till this year. Kansas finally
34-0
won.
Or something.
Yeah, which
some of those St. Louis schools.
Well, no, it's just Kansas City.
It's just Kansas City. The metro area. So, but Missouri had kind of had a hold on that. I mean, obviously, we're not up to those levels. You know, some of those other states, which changes. So changing that rule did help. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, I did talk to a guy who's had guys recruited by JB, and, I mean, they say he's a great recruiter. Yeah, I mean, he seems like it. When you watch it, he seems like he could sell you the dream.
Yeah.
He'll get you there.
To get, you know, I mean, and say what you want about their quarterback, Malik, from seeing him on the show, but, I mean, at one time, you know, the guy went to Florida State, and, you know, they don't just hand out scholarships at Florida State for quarterbacks. Right. You know, they've had some pretty good quarterbacks there. So, you know, and he got in trouble and wasn't going to start. And, I mean, you could say whatever. I thought his body language was very poor at all times.
Yeah, I mean, as a former defensive end, I don't like quarterbacks very much.
Yeah.
I would struggle with him. Just his attitude and just the whole, I don't know, his whole demeanor. Like you said, his body language was just like, he didn't really want to be there. And, I mean, if you watch the episodes, I feel like he needs to play baseball. Like that's what I mean. He looks like he wants to play baseball. He's not interested in playing quarterback. But I mean, if you're a 5-star kid, it's hard to say no. I'm not going to play quarterback. I'm going to play baseball. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of that too just from watching him. I feel like and I mean you can speak to this too. But even if you're playing defense, you've got to believe in that guy.
Right.
At that, I mean, you don't have to believe in your whole offense. Yeah. You've got to believe in your quarterback. Right. Yeah. And I felt like at times, although those guys didn't blast him on camera, I felt like there was times where they're like, "Man, this is the guy. This is the guy we got. We can't do better."
So is the whole point of this guy? I haven't watched it. So these guys get maybe people that have kind of fallen from D1 stuff. And then,
so
JUCOs try to get him back out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you're typically, JUCOs either have kids that have went D1 and maybe gotten some trouble or not made their grades
or whatever,
or they get kids who can't go D1 out of high school because of grades or some kind of issue. So you go to a JUCO for a year, maybe 2. Tops, and then they send you on to Division I.
What was Cam Newton? I know Cam Newton went JUCO. Did he?
Bland, I believe.
Did he go straight there? Or was he D1 then went back down and went back? Because I thought
Cam was at Florida. Then he left Florida and went to junior college, and then he went to
who was starting over him at Florida?
Was it Tebow? He was there with Tebow, I believe.
I think so. I think he was kind of there at the same time.
That's all right. Tebow, that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, and even if it was another kid, I mean, there's 2 types of kids, I feel like, from talking to guys that have worked at the JUCO level. 2 types of kids you see there. One that comes in and realizes they've messed up and they've got to, prove themselves again. Uh-huh. Or be a kid who's like, oh, it was not my fault, it was his fault. And they never really rebound.
Right. So because they don't own
is that kind of what you've heard?
Was that Cam just left Florida just because maybe he wasn't starting?
I mean, it could have been. I don't know
I don't remember the circumstances.
That's interesting, right? Because he's one of the best. He's one of the best pure college athletes we've ever seen. Besides Bo Jackson, stuff like that. But when Cam came in, he was ultra dominant.
Yeah, I mean Vince Young was pretty good too. Texas. Back in the day, Reggie Bush.
Funny, man. Yeah, because he was so good, and then NFL just totally flamed out.
Fell off the cliff.
Yeah, but I mean that championship game, Vince Young versus USC, Texas USC.
I remember watching. Watching it.
That's crazy, right?
And I was a USC fan, so I remember.
Yeah,
I was a Reggie Bush.
I mean the fourth down, right?
Yeah.
The fourth down where Pete Carroll had Lindell White on the sideline. I mean, and that's your big bruiser.
Just like it. the Seahawks, right?
Yeah, and you got to run something fancy.
It's like a stubborn type thing. Yeah, I don't understand that, like at play calling sometimes or whatever. So I don't know.
I mean,
goofy.
Obviously, guys that call plays at that level. I mean, every play they call, they want it to score. They want it to achieve the first down or whatever. I mean, you're not sitting there saying, "I'm gonna call this play because this is gonna be crappy." But sometimes, I mean, always looking back, you can question it. I mean, there's been guys I've worked for that call plays that you're like, what was he thinking on that one? But, I mean, it happens. Yeah. I mean, even on defense, sometimes you get caught in the wrong front.
Wrong coverage.
Yeah.
I've done that before.
I mean, it happens, And everybody, the thing now, I think the trend defensively is everybody says, oh, we're multiple. We're multiple.
Yeah, you talked about that before.
I mean, I think that's why I'm not a big fan of 7-on-7 in the summer. Mm-hmm. I feel like guys say, well, we're a 3-man front, so they drop 8 in 7-on-7. Most high school quarterbacks, if you drop 8, are going to take a sack. I mean, they're not going to be able to get the ball out. I mean, how you feel about stuff like that?
I don't mind 7-on-7. I think a lot of times people take advantage. It turns into I'm trying to win. From my perspective, 7-on-7 is to get better defensively in coverages and get better offensively as far as reading coverages. So we host a 7-on-7 deal at my place, and if you're a 3-man front, you've got to blitz one. You've got to bring one. So sometimes we get to a tournament and we got a team that's dropping 8, and if I feel like saying something, I'll say something. If not, then I'll tell our defensive coordinator, hey, we're dropping 8 today, I guess. So it just depends. I mean, if you're abusing the process to win 7-on-7 games, which there is no 7-on-7 state title, I don't think.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why people do it, but I use it as a tool. I think that you can do it too much. I had one year I was coaching, and I felt like we did 7-on-7 like at the beginning of the whole summer, and we did like 7-on-7 tournaments before we did any scrimmages or matched up with anybody. And I was a linebackers coach, and our linebackers were dropping in the coverage on every single play because they were in that mode instead of reading their keys and getting downhill. So you can't overdo it. So, but I think I like 7-on-7. I think it's a valuable tool, but I think it's just a tool to get better.
Yeah. Buddy Ryan at Drexel, he's putting more passing schemes in. He's been using 7-on-7, especially to work on the schemes he's doing. Just even more basic stuff because they ran a ton of triple option or an option out of the shotgun last year, and now his O-line's not as good. Or whatever, but so he's throwing a bunch of scheme. Yep, and so he's used 7-on-7 like that. So it's cool he said that.
I've actually seen in Texas. I always follow all these schools and see different things. They've got a 7-on-7 deal that they do where they put 3 linemen down. So they've got the interior linemen, and you can put D linemen down. So it's 7-on-7, but you can actually run the ball too, just to keep people honest. I thought it was a pretty cool idea.
Yeah. That's kind of always been my gripe. Is I feel like guys say, "Oh, well, we're multiple and we're dropping 8 here," and I feel like in the course of a Friday night game, I mean, I don't feel like you're going to drop 8 very many times.
Unless you've got 3 studs up front, you're not dropping 8.
I mean, and maybe in certain situations you're going to, but consistently, no, you're not going to drop 8 dudes. I mean, you're going to send 4 or 5-man pressures, most of the time, even if you're a 3-man front. I mean, you're going to walk that guy up and send him off the edge.
Right.
You're going to send somebody up the middle. I mean, you're going to do some different things to mix it up. But all right, well. Anything else you want to tell us about your team or say to your team as
I think, like I said, as the summer's going on, we had a scrimmage earlier. As the summer's going on, I think we've gotten more comfortable with each other. Our team is still young. We've still got a lot of sophomores that have got to play for us, but I think that we're moving in the right direction, and I'm really excited for the season. I'm really excited for the games that we have on our schedule, and I think we got a chance to do something special. We just got to make sure we keep building from this point forward. When August hits, we're ready to roll on that first day against the East Bears. So
East, open with East. All right, who's that team on your schedule that you'll see that you're like, oh, we've made some strides in these 3 years? If you're competitive, or you can beat them.
Center's going to be a challenge for us.
Okay.
Center's always good. Coach Lalone does a great job over there, so that'll be a good measuring stick for us. So that's kind of the game on our schedule where we've looked at it and we said, this game will tell us a lot about where we are and where we've come in the last couple of years. So that's the one. It's early in the season. I believe it's week 4 or 6. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
But that's the one where, it's going to tell us a lot about where we are and where we have to go and where we come from. So
yeah, I know center is one of those teams that's really in the last 6-7 years have really made some strides, and I mean they've been in the playoffs. They're one of those teams in this area that